everybody, and welcome back to another exciting season of 31 Days of Indie Horror. This is the debut episode of 2024, and I had to bring one of my favorite guests that I've ever had as
Aw.
the start. Yeah, well, I realized Liz Fletcher, everybody. How you doing,
Hi
Liz?
guys.
What I realized was that you've been in a lot of my stuff, like period. Like I've been doing a lot of clips for TikTok, and like I just keep running into your clips, like
Oh,
making clips. So I'm just like, all right, I'll like I'll put this out now
yeah,
that
we've been at this a long time. I, I
uh,
I don't know. I can't keep track of how many times I've been on, but I enjoy it.
a bunch of different times.
I actually get excited now, thinking, "Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see what he has me watching next."
Sometimes I have you watch bad movies, like with Death Rink was not a good movie, and
Yeah.
we had a fun discussion with that one. But then there was another one you didn't like, which was Late Fee. I think same year, same
Oh
season.
gosh, yeah, that was so bad.
So I hope this one was a step above all that, a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, it did have its flaws, and we will talk about that, but a lot of it is budgetary flaws that I can tell were issues with it and stuff. So, but yeah, so this movie is called Cult, and I remember seeing it in the video store back when that existed and just never rented it, you know? And I'm a huge Rachel Miner fan. She was in a movie called Bully that I really, really liked. It was from the director of Kids, and it is pretty like brutal, and it's based on a true story that really happened, and the writer of Kids, Harmony Korine, wrote it, and it's brutal. It's like it feels real. It feels like because it all happened. So I think it's literally, what happened, which was just nasty. And if you ever get to
Yeah.
see that movie, I would suggest it, but just be warned, it is not an easy watch. It does involve the R word that I can't say on YouTube because you can get in trouble. If you can guess what that is, when you're assaulted by someone, sexually assaulted by someone. It's called the
Oh.
yeah, and it involves that, and a lot of
Oh.
people, and you know, and that is a big part of the movie because that actually really
Yeah.
happened, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So there's some really rough stuff in that movie, but it was really good. It was really well done, and Rachel Miner did a fantastic job. And she did a great job in this. She did a great job in Supernatural. And I adore her. If
She
you ever
was also married to Macaulay Culkin.
you look that up, you found that out.
Oh no, I knew about that. I used to always read all the Us Weekly magazines and all the gossip magazines, and yeah, she married him when she was, I want to say, 17.
I think she got emancipated from her parents and married him at like 17, yeah. And then
Because I was right about that age, maybe a year or two younger at the time, and I just thought, well, was it? Yeah, yeah, they're older than me.
I think they're
But I
older than
just
me
remember
too. I
thinking,
think back
gosh, I can't imagine getting married at that age.
I know Macaulay is like a year or two older than me and stuff. So and I think she was a little younger, but not much. And yeah, they were married together. I don't I think they had split by the time this movie had come out.
Yeah, I think so.
And which is great. He's now married to a chick from like The Sweet Life, with her, or if he's not married to her by now, he's engaged.
Fiancés or something.
Yeah. But so it's so strange to me because like, that guy for a while was not in the public eye, he kind of left for a while. And then
Yeah.
now he's like all of a sudden everywhere. You just got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Um, but this movie, when I so this is the first time I watched it. So like I said, I wanted to see it, just never got around to it.
Hmm.
And saw it was on TV as like a recommended, and I was like, well, it's not a Friends movie. I'm not going to be doing those for this show, I'm going to be doing kind of the indie films that like I don't know the people
Mm-hmm.
involved and everything. And so I looked this up and I was like, okay, I think it was a horror film. So it fits and it's indie, it's not made by a studio. Um, it does feel very sci-fi like though, like weirdly enough. Like the Sci-Fi Channel, like it has sort of that
Yeah.
little bit of that feel to it. And the director of it did go on to do like Dragon Wasps, which feels like it should be a man-eaters movie, but I don't think it is, you know? Um
Yeah.
yeah. So it and you've been a part of those shows with me a
The
lot.
man
So
eaters. Yeah.
yeah,
I can't remember which one it was, but I do remember doing one.
you've done a few actually. It's funny. No, I mean I only know this because I've been going through all of
I
them,
just I have a hard time sometimes distinguishing the different
podcasts.
podcasts that you guys have. I just kind of I know it's not, but it to me it's all indie film cafe.
It
So
is.
I kind of well, I know, but I get confused by the different ones that you have sometimes.
Well, I mean, it's all the same network, but
I
it's all,
enjoy doing them all.
yeah. And a lot of this is indie film, This is
Yeah.
31 days of indie horror, so it fits with that. So anyway, can you describe the story for us?
So it starts out in ancient China, and I took notes because I didn't want to forget. Huan, especially the names are kind of tricky. Huan Ying is this young Chinese maiden who's murdered by her father for getting pregnant by this lower class gentleman in the community. So he stabs her in the belly and cuts out her eyes. But while she is dying, she's saying this incantation over this amulet, and it kind of releases her spirit or something.
My question is like, did she know that was gonna happen? Like, did she like,
Well,
or was
maybe
it all just
not, but
luck?
maybe she just I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably like any kind of religion. When you're in the process of dying, you're going to probably be praying. And a
Hmm.
lot of people would have a cross. Maybe that had something to do with her faith. Maybe she didn't expect it. I don't know. That's just one speculation.
Right. So, all right. So she gets her stomach, I guess, and her eyes.
Yes, stomach in her eyes. So that's not the end of the story. So this amulet is discovered. What? How many years was it?
I mean, it
20
has,
years late. It was 20 years later. This cult was formed by this evil man. I don't know how else to I'm horrible
right,
at describing these. But he forms this cult and he thinks that if he has all these sacrifices that it will release its power to him so he can just either be more powerful or um have longer life.
right.
And so he's having this sacrifice and the effects were amazing. But he's got all these women lined up to sacrifice them and release the power in this amulet. And one woman defies him. So you've got some of them dropping dead over here. And
And their souls are going to him apparently or something. I don't know.
yes, um, but this woman stands up to him and defeats him. And that's the end of it. So years later, Rachel Miner's character, she is in a college class and it's a religion class. And she decides to do this school project on this cult that was going to use this amulet power. And um, her friend, soon after they start this project, they her friend commits suicide. But the weird thing about it is that she's been stabbed in the stomach and her eyes cut out. So that's
That's how it
about
all.
it.
Well, then then the class project people have to go
People
figure
start
out.
dying.
Yeah, well, they have to figure out what's going on with the cult, and then or whatever. And then you start doing more research, and the more research they do, sort of the deeper they get into it. And we also have found out when that one girl, that lady, was dying, by the hands of the cult leader, on that he said he was going to go after her daughter, who's 1 years old, named Mindy. So they mentioned that early on in the
Oh,
movie.
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, so in the early on in the movie, he says, "I'll go after your, fine then. I'll just have to go after your daughter." And she
Oh,
says,
okay.
don't, no, you wouldn't go after Mindy, and whatever. And so yes, apparently when we hear the name
Okay.
Mindy, and then you find out that's Rachel Miner's character, and the people she drags into it, there's Tara Manning, who plays Cassie, or Cassandra,
Mm-hmm.
and she's sort of this goofy character. Like, I don't really even know how to describe her. She's kind of weird, and kooky to me. Like,
I think they're all kind of hard to describe.
right, she's got but see, Taryn always plays that, and it kind of
Yeah.
drives me crazy because I'm like, she's a really good actress. She was on like Orange is the New Black
Oh
and a
my
bunch of other
gosh,
stuff.
she was fantastic in that one.
Right. But in all these indie movies I see of her, she's always so wacky and weird and
Mm-hmm.
completely different than anything else. And I'm just like, I don't know if that's like what she liked to do, if that's the kind of role she did, or if that's what she brought to the characters, kind of thing. But and then there's this there's this guy, what was his name? Blaine or something? Was that the character's name? Um I'm gonna be messing these up in a second.
Alex?
Um, Bailey. Bailey is the friend, the guy
Oh,
friend.
okay.
That's kind of
Yeah.
like the nerdy guy who doesn't stand up for himself or whatever, but he's a pushover, but he's supposed to have some dramatic arc, and I don't really ever see that in him necessarily. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
guess he does sort of stand up against the people, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't end up getting the stuff. So it just, a lot of everything feels like it was set up for something that didn't pay off. Um, and that's a lot of what this movie is. Then there's Alex, I believe, and he's like the bigger
Yeah.
guy, and he was the most annoying character
Smart
ever.
ass.
No, he's the most annoying character. Like, I hated him. I wanted him. I was like, can you please kill him now? Like I just I wanted him to be dead at the temple when he went to the temple because
Yeah.
he was being so obnoxious the whole time, saying, "Oh, making smart ass remarks," but they're not
Yeah.
funny. They're just annoying, and then he's bickering with everybody. And at one point, they pretty much tell him to go outside, and he doesn't. Kind of says, "Oh yeah, I'll go outside," and he keeps walking in, and I'm like, dude, just man, like, leave me alone. Like, I just did not like him.
Yeah.
He drove me crazy. Um, and then there was the dad, who I hated, and we'll get into that. And the teacher, who I felt like there could have been more with her, but you really don't
Mm-hmm.
get a lot with her either.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the main characters. And then there's what's her name? Tara. Fucking loved Tara. I wish there was more of Tara, honestly.
Yeah.
And the girl that I'm actually friends with, the girl who played it, so I actually told her I was
Oh,
going
okay.
to be doing this review. But I'm not only saying that because I'm friends with her, but because I really actually really loved her. I had never seen her in
Yeah.
anything except for she was in The Key of Awesome, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels, and she always played Katy Perry. So she did, like, she looked like Katy Perry enough where they made her
Yeah.
do Katy Perry songs. So anyway, what did you like about the movie?
I mean, I am a huge Taryn Manning fan as well. I don't think I'd actually seen anything that Rachel Miner was in. Um, I did feel like they did the best they could with what they had to work with. But the script just kind of, the story and the script just kind of felt all over the place to me,
Hmm.
and it was just kind of hard to um keep my attention span on it for super long. Um, the cinematography was just kind of weird. I don't know. I thought I'd read somewhere that the budget had been like 950,000.
Right.
Have did you see
I did
that
not see
also?
that. I did not, but I wouldn't
Um,
be surprised.
I don't know. It was just weird. Like,
It
I mean,
felt much less than that.
aside from enjoying seeing Taryn Manning in it, it was rough, man.
I wonder if a lot of the budget went to the big cast and
That's what I was
the
wondering.
temple and getting a temple that they could rent out and or whatnot. Though I'm not gonna lie, some points of the temple did not look like they were in that temple, look like sets,
Yeah.
and stuff. And maybe they were. So if you're part of the production and you knew that this was, that this actually took place inside a temple, please tell us, inform us on this too, because to me it looked like just the out. Maybe they got like the exterior of the temple, and then when they went inside, it was all sets and stuff. Because I don't know, it just didn't feel. Some of the places didn't even feel like they were in the same place. It
Yeah.
felt
Well,
weird.
and I think for me, the hardest thing to watch about it was just the cinematography was just, I don't know, it just maybe I just didn't get it, but it was just very dark and the camera was very shaky at times.
Hmm.
Um,
Who did
I
the
don't know. There's
cinematography?
like if you've got good cinematography, there's a lot that you can work with if you've got low budget sets. I don't know. It was
So
a little hard to watch.
David McFarland did the cinematography, and it looks like before this he had done a bunch of stuff like Who's Making the Rules, a bunch of shorts, mostly shorts that he was a movie called A Coat of Snow that won some awards. He did a TV. He after this he did a TV movie that he uh did the cinematography for called In Pot We Trust. I'm lying. That's a thing, and it's got a big marijuana leaf on the cover of it.
And
Um,
what is that?
it's some documentary, I guess.
Oh,
I'm a documentary examining the cases of five chronically ill people who have been prescribed medical marijuana as part of their treatment. Hmm. Um, might be good. I
was
don't know.
that recent?
Same year as this, 2007.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, so my biggest problem was the editing too. Editing was a little
Mm-hmm.
like when you say
Choppy.
too crazy, it's kind of and that ruins sometimes the movie because if you cut to something and we don't get to see it and you cut to something else, I'm upset. I'm missing something. What is going on here?
Yeah.
And I felt like the editing was a little choppy and
Well, and there wasn't any kind of like, I mean, there were a couple of like attempted jump scares, but there wasn't really anything that scared me about it, or um there wasn't any gore really. I mean, you'd see some like makeup, but nothing like crazy.
yeah.
Um,
It
I don't
wasn't
know.
like your typical horror film, and
Yeah,
it wasn't like a slasher or anything. It wasn't meant to be. Like it's a ghost story.
it
And
was like campy without the camp.
you know what? I kind of agree with that. And
Uh,
and I was actually thinking of remember the campy one we watched, the Jolly Roger movie with the pirate,
yeah,
who come in and say his like yo ho ho or something,
yeah,
or whatever. That felt like this because like remember the the cult member, the cult leader would show up randomly and kill
Right.
everybody. And I was just like, yeah, I'm just sad he never had any good puns or anything because,
Right.
that would have made it a little bit more fun. And I think they were trying to get away from being too campy,
Yeah.
but they failed at that because then they still made it campy. Right.
Just not in a very fun and entertaining way.
Right. Like if you're gonna go camp, go full camp. If you're gonna try
Yeah.
to make something serious, try to make sure you take out all the campy stuff in it. Um, I I didn't mind some like as I wrote two things in my notes. These are things after I watched it. Oops. Uh, I said it's too big for its budgetary britches, you know? And it is like it is one of those movies where it is
Yeah.
just, and we see a lot of this. We see a lot of this in films and everything where they try too much, and then I guarantee you the script is longer, and they have to cut everything down to make it like an hour and
Yeah.
20 something minutes. So we lose some of the interesting stuff, like what's up with the father? Like, so there's and the father's the Deus ex machina in the movie, by the way, and I hate that.
Hmm.
You know what that term means, right?
No.
Okay, so it's the person that comes in at the end and just gives the person what they want, what they need without knowing like this is like it's called a god machine. That's what that the Deus Ex Machina means. It's a god machine. So like it's like back in the day, I think it was the Romans or something, one of the Greeks, would have they would put on plays. And then at the end of the play to basically have a miracle happen or something happen randomly, a machine would come down and hand them what they needed to like win the so
Okay.
like say if it was a sword or something they needed,
Okay.
it would just randomly
Let's
come
try to
and
add some comedy, maybe.
well, no. In this case, it was in this case for sure, it was that randomly the dad went to the his girlfriend, I guess. I don't know. Was there like some
Yeah.
kind of love
They were
thing going?
dating.
Yeah. Um, it got weird because like okay, first of all, that's her teacher, which is fine,
Yeah.
and whatever. They're grown adults and it's college, not like high school. I think high school it's a little weirder, but they're in college, so but like
Yeah.
did the daughter know? I never knew if the daughter knew that or if they
That might have just been one of those things that may have ended up on the cutting floor.
right. But that's the
I don't know,
problem.
like
You
there was
need
like some of the characters, they just were not really well developed.
mm-mm. They were more concentrated on the cult and the mythology of it and not
Yeah.
and what they needed to do was be more grounded in the characters. Like I honestly I was almost thinking, oh man, if Rachel Miner's character dies, will I care? And I probably wouldn't have. I would have been like, okay, the bad guy won in this movie, and that's it. I wouldn't have been upset, you know. If the father had died, no, nobody fucking died except for
Yeah.
uh, was it Tara Manning's character who sacrifices herself for no reason whatsoever when all they keep telling her is just say that incantation
Yeah.
and she doesn't. I don't get that. Like
Yeah.
that scene felt like there was more to it, but like there was more to be developed in that character. We should have known her as the girl who's always like, fuck you, bitch. You know? A great scene that could have helped with that is when she's on the phone, and that clerk, that the customer comes up there and is like,
Hmm.
hey, and she just tells him, hold on, I'm on the phone. She should have been like, fuck off,
Yeah.
or something like, I don't give a fuck. Like, she should have been like that to everybody but her friends. And then
Right.
we get that at the end. She's like, fuck you, bitch. And it ends
Yeah.
like with her character. Her character, like, just is like that. And so she didn't change whatsoever, which she didn't need to. Um,
Yeah.
we never got that. I never got that from her. I got I got a really weird character that I feel like they didn't. Taryn Manning didn't know what to fucking do with. She just kind of was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do the best I can with what I'm given," and
Well, maybe they were trying to leave it open for a part two or something where they could delve in further to the characters. I don't know.
maybe. I mean, it did leave it open, saying at the end that that either a new book is being written or whatever. I'm like,
Mhm.
wait, how? They just like change, they killed the one leader, you know.
You always
Um,
want to leave that little potential for a sequel at the end of each movie.
but usually it makes sense when they do that. This doesn't even make any sense. If the killer had lived somehow or another, or you know, like, I'll give you an example. Are You Afraid of the Dark had great ways at the end,
Great show.
right? Great ways at the end to show you that there could be a potential thing with that because
Yeah.
they'll end it with like somebody smiling or like the bad guy smiling or
Hmm.
something, going with that. When it
The
always
twist.
right, and I always got pissed off because they never did a sequel to any of their episodes because that's not what they did. They always had Sardo, who's one of my favorite characters, or Dr. Vink, but they never made it where like that story with them continued on to the next,
Right.
episode or whatever. So that's what they needed to do with this is they needed to end it where the killer somehow, even though they might have done it, he could still be around. Now he's just
Yeah.
gone and it's like I don't care, Like I don't care about any of these characters or any of this stuff that happened by the end of the movie. And
Well,
that's
I think that's part of the problem. I think anytime you have any kind of story, a TV show, a book, a movie, if you in your story don't create this connection between your audience and the characters, they're not going to give a shit what happens in the story or to the characters. So you just have to find that way to connect with people.
now this brings me up to a good question for you as an actress, when you play a role, right? Say you get a script, and what if the script sucks? Like, do you tell the director, I'm sorry, I
Oh,
can't do this movie because the script isn't up to par to what or do you just do it and do the best you can?
I think I think at this point in my career, if I come across something because my time is so limited, it's got to be something that I really feel strongly about. Um, Something that I feel like I can connect with personally in some way, even if
Mm.
it's just a small way. But if I'm reading a script and I mean, if I don't connect with this character somehow, it makes it really difficult. But I feel like I can connect with people pretty easily, um, and find something in common with anybody. So,
That's interesting because I remember I did an interview with you once and
yeah,
you talked about that and you talked a lot about how you were able to take a character that was like you had to like you have to make people connect with you
absolutely.
as the character, and that was a big thing with you. If you have to make that connection, and the problem is most indie horror films these days, especially 2000s and up, they really don't, because the idea is let's make it as cheap as possible so that because nowadays especially there's not really big companies that uh refund filmmakers for their efforts.
Yeah,
So they have to make it as cheap as possible so it's almost like a tax write-off and more than a budget for a movie, you know what I mean? Um so when they make the film, so they end up it ends up becoming a big deal with it, right? Like
Hmm.
you're now spending $20,000 and you're trying to
Yeah.
make something that should have the budget of two or 20 million, or whatever, a huge budget, and this felt like a TV show that would
Yeah.
have been
Yeah.
great, would have been a great pilot, but they had to have left it, would have to leave it open for the rest of the series or something. Um, but the problem is it felt like a pilot that they just squeezed a whole movie into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I kind of feel that.
so I'm kind of sad about that because I really felt like this had the potential to be a lot bigger, and the director Joe Nee is really good.
Yeah.
You can tell there's talent there. It's just this film just lacks the good. And there's like four writers for the film or something, three or four writers,
Yeah.
and shit's in trouble when there's like three or four writers like that because
Yeah.
well, I mean not necessarily, but like most of the time in these indie films
Sometimes, yeah.
because everybody wants to put in their 2 cents, and their 2 cents equals into 6 cents. Not like the sixth sense, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It equals out to like way too much
Too
sense.
many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly. And they do spoil the broth, you know. And this, I felt like, once again, should have been a lot better than it was, but unfortunately, and the actors, all fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody did a great job. Um, as I said, the director did as good of a job as he could given the stuff, and he was the story writer or co-story writer or whatever of it. So I'm wondering if he like was this just a cool idea that somebody had, and then they're like, yeah, let's make this, and they're like, well, how do we make this make sense with this budget? And you said 900,000 or something. I think that's
Yeah,
high.
I can't remember if that was on IMDb or where I saw that.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Um, let's see. Um, let's see here. Sorry. Uh,
Oh, no, you're okay.
as it says
Are you looking up the
950.
budget?
Yep, that says nine
Did
hundred and
okay. I couldn't
fifty.
remember where I saw that.
It's on IMDb. It says 950,000, and the gross worldwide was $187,814, and that is not right. Well, I mean that means that it just barely probably went on a couple screens and got shared, but like did not do very well. I'm surprised it even got on screens. Like this seems like direct to video type thing, you know? What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
This would have been a better like I mean,
I can't really picture this having been on the big screen.
unless we're at like a festival or something. Maybe it went to a festival, but that's the only
Yeah,
way. But I don't know. So it made some money, but it didn't barely. I mean, if it cost $950,000, it did not make that back nor a profit. That's why we don't see a cult two or a
yeah,
TV show. And my biggest problem is when people do feature films that like like I said should have been TV series. Um, they're not most likely going to get a TV series if the movie flops, or doesn't
yeah,
do very well, or nobody sees it. Um, so I hope that maybe the people who made this movie are able to, if they want to continue, because sometimes after it's done, and they kind of move on and to stuff something else. But if they want to continue it, they should do it as a TV series,
yeah.
and just expand the characters. Sadly, Rachel Miner will not be back. Did you hear about her?
No?
So, let me see what it says in her info. So during the making of Supernatural, when she was in Supernatural, they found out that she suffered from multiple sclerosis, and she was forced to leave the show and basically
Oh,
and everything, which kind of sucked. But you could tell at the end of her time there that things were not easy for her and stuff,
yeah,
and kind of sucked. But so she's been sort of she left acting and she's just dealing with stuff that she's dealing with right now, and that really sucks. And I miss her. Like I always loved her. She ended up doing that. So hopefully she's getting the help and support that she definitely
yeah.
needs and whatnot. I'm sure she is.
I can certainly understanding needing to disappear for a while when you're going through health stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe she'll be back because I think there are a lot of actors that probably have multiple sclerosis that still act, you know.
Yeah,
So I don't know. You know more about the health stuff than I do, you know, but I just imagine I know like, for a while Michael J. Fox who had Parkinson's,
yeah,
he would he would still act and stuff. I know a couple of friends who have Parkinson's actually.
yeah,
Some of them act still, to this day and everything. And one of them acts with me now still, So it can be done, but I don't know. I don't know much about multiple sclerosis, so I don't
yeah.
so I can't really say. But I know that's what she was doing. She's uh sh and Tara Manning, I think, is still acting in a bunch of stuff. Oh, I forgot she was in Crossroads with Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah. I never saw that movie, but I was a Britney Spears fan.
I didn't watch it because I was like, I heard so many bad things about it, but I kind of want to see it. Um, would you want to
I
do that
kind of
for?
do too, actually.
Would you want to do that for?
Should
Oh
we do
damn.
a podcast on
Yeah,
it?
yeah, we do that Hollywood Knockbusters, the one I had you. By the way, I had you
Hell
on
yeah.
Double Dragon. Remember Double Dragon? And remember
Yes.
that was like an Asian influenced movie that had an amulet,
Yeah.
just like this one.
Yes.
And I don't, I,
I
I don't.
mean, amulets are quite powerful.
Oh, you got an amulet. Oh, there you go.
I'm a crystal kind of woman.
I have a crystal over there too. I gave it to one of my former roommates when I first moved in, because I found it at like this crystal place on my way to California when I was
Hmm.
I was moving out there. So I grabbed this, like, I found this crystal and I found two matching ones. So I was like, ah. And I felt bad because then I moved in with my other roommate and I didn't have another one for her.
Oh
I
no.
should have bought like three or four of them.
You should have, yeah, you should have bought a dozen.
I should have bought a dozen, just give them out to people. It's kind of cool. It's pretty neat. It's a neat looking. I still have it. Like I
Yeah.
have it right
Oh
next to
no,
my bed.
I'm all about crystals, and I got a salt rock lamp over here that's not working anymore.
A salt rock lamp.
Yeah, have you seen one of those?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
It's supposed to neutralize a lot of the negative ions that are I sound like a hippie right now.
It's okay.
But it's supposed to reduce the negative ions that are put out into the air from our all of our electronics and the different frequencies that they radiate.
Did this movie kill your salt rock lamp? All of a sudden, all the
No,
negative energy is just
yeah, it was
overwhelmed
some
it.
negative energy from that movie.
It's like it stopped it. You're all of a sudden like, wait,
Like I had to shield my eyes.
too much negative energy. Um,
No,
I
I
don't.
think the little light in it just died,
Okay,
but
that
I just
sounds that
haven't
sounds
found
more
how to
peaceable, I guess.
change it. Yeah, that's a more reasonable explanation.
Um, I don't know though. Negative energies cause a lot of issues, a lot of things in the world. Um,
Yeah, I don't need that in my life.
I try not to. It's so easy these days with the media and with everything to just go negative, and whatnot. And
That's why you just gotta turn it off sometimes. Just Shut your phone off. Don't get on Facebook for a whole day. We need it.
I know. Uh, it's so funny, but like, yeah, totally. You need to recharge your life because sometimes it's just too much. Um, it's funny. A lot of my friends will say that they don't even read the news anymore or look at the news because, like, and then somebody came up to him and said, "You don't read the news anymore?" It's like, "Do you read the?" He goes, "Do you read the news?" To the guy, and the guy goes, "Yeah, of course." It's like, anything good in the news? He goes, "No." Like really, there's never any good
Um,
news in the news. It's all supposed to be bad or scary because they want you to fear,
yes.
you know.
Yes, they want people to be afraid.
Right. And so with a movie like just to go back to this movie, because we do go off a little, and it's on every one of my movies, my podcast, so I'm okay with that.
Those are the endearing moments, though, Jonathan.
Well, they're the ones that like sometimes I take some of the clips from those because we say things that like, we're just talking. We're just having a conversation, so that kind of flows out. But yeah, to go back to Colt, the movie itself, um, I felt like they were trying really hard to make something that was, endearing and uplifting or whatever for this, thing, but it didn't work. Like like I told you before, the part the the biggest part in the movie was at the end where the father just shows up and she's like, "There's my dad."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, first of all, how does your dad know you're here at the temple? Like, how did that happen? And on secondly, why did your dad just show up with all the stuff that
That you
his
needed.
girlfriend had? And yes, and they happened to have the one thing she was saying earlier. Oh, well, we don't have that thing, so we're
Mm-hmm.
screwed. And then all of a sudden, here the dad comes to save the day. And he gives her the stuff, and then, you know, and then the girl doesn't say the stuff, the lines or whatever, gets killed. And I'm just like, maybe Taryn Manning just wanted to just go. It's like done with
Yeah.
this,
Well,
so
I almost wonder if they had had a different ending in mind, maybe, but then either ran out of money or had to shorten it and alter the script. I mean, who knows? It was odd.
well,
It just
and
kind of ended abruptly, I felt like.
then on top of that, uh, the chick, the dead chick, whatever, the one that started it all, she comes back to that one kid, Bailey, and she's like,
Oh,
get you can't let her die without the holy books or something. And I'm like, first of all, where did this come from? Like,
yeah.
where, like, nobody ever mentioned a holy book, right? And so
No.
then she goes to the monk guy who's white as fuck. And I'm like, okay, so there's white monks that work for an Asian temple. I don't know. But he's like, "Hey, I need you need to show me the holy books." Right? And the guy's like, "Okay, come over here." And he goes and shows the holy books and they're burnt. And I'm like, "Okay, so the ghost chick that did not know that they were burnt, like, and when she told
Yeah.
them, it's not like the guy just burned it right before they got there. It's like apparently they've been burnt, you know, uh, by the ghost guy. I don't know. It was just,
Yeah, it was really hard for me to make sense of at times.
yeah. I'm like, and then the guy that I did not like, he died because of a dream that he had. Oh, by the way, that scene made me want to shoot my TV because right before he went to sleep or whatever, he was like dressed up as his bear, or maybe that was in his dream.
Oh,
And
Dancing Bear.
yeah, and then he's like, "I'm blah 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 the bear," and I'm like, I don't, why is this on my screen? Like, please, they're just trying to give him more comedic. He's supposed to be the comedic relief,
Comedic
comedy.
relief. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was not.
It
He
just didn't work.
no, like Taryn Manning should have been the comedic relief. She's really good at comedy. This
Hmm.
guy just could not make me laugh
Yeah.
whatsoever.
It was
And
a little cringe.
yeah, I was like, this, they're just trying too hard. And to be like weird and quirky and whatever in a movie that's not weird and quirky throughout everything else, you know.
Yeah.
And to me that's bad. That's bad writing. Um, you have to establish a tone for the whole film.
Right.
If you're gonna go off, like I've done this once before for my short film, The Locked Room, where I had one scene that was comedic and the rest was all like horror, right?
Yeah.
And I chose to do that because in the middle, not even middle, almost more toward the beginning of the film, because it was, I didn't want it to be all horror all the time, right? So I get it. Like I get comedic relief, but it's got to be in the same tone as the rest of the film.
Right.
It can't be this weird shit that happens, stuff. A guy can't be dressed as a bear and
Dancing around.
dancing around in his bedroom, and shit, and us think that this is normal, or something. It was too weird. Um, so and plus, why was he wearing a jersey? He looked like he was wearing a jersey, didn't he? Like that guy looked like
Hmm.
he was wearing a jersey. Why was he wearing a jersey if he's the fucking what is it, what are those guys called, the ones who wear the costumes and shit, to try to hype up all the people and
The pep team.
no, but like in the football team, what would be the mascot? He's the mascot. So if he
Oh,
was,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and why would he be wearing a jersey? He's not a football player, or whatever. He doesn't look like he could be
I don't
anything
know.
other than maybe the mascot.
Maybe they let the mascot wear a jersey too.
I don't think
I,
so.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
I don't know if that's true. That
I don't
could
know
be
anything about sports.
in their universe, yes. Which kind of sucks. It's not real. Um, I mean, whatever. This movie's not real, so that's okay. But the movie was just eh. At the end of the day, I'm glad it's out and available. I didn't hate it. I wanted to love it more, and I didn't.
Yeah. I just wasn't very entertained.
Was your doggy entertained?
No, they were sleeping the whole time.
This movie puts dogs to sleep. That's great.
But to be fair, they sleep a lot, especially lately with the holidays and winter. Like, whew, we've been inside around each other nonstop.
It's so funny because they did scream a lot in this movie. There's a lot of screams
Yeah.
and stuff, and like wh- other than just to make it happen, why did the ghost lady, the one who got killed first, who just randomly shows up as a ghost to help the guy out, why does after she's done she just screams at him? I'm like, what?
Sometimes you just gotta let it out.
She's been dead for a long time. Maybe that's it,
Yeah. She's just
did,
clearing her throat.
I guess she's been dead for 40 years or something. Something.
Was it 40?
I guess because like you were saying in the beginning, like no, the beginning must have been where she was it must have been like the 1800s or something, and then
Yeah, it was like ancient China, I thought.
right, so ancient China, then she dies, and then this guy in a cult, because you said 20 years later. It was definitely not 20 years later because that guy looked like he was
I think I get nervous when I'm describing stuff because I feel like I do a really bad job at it.
oh, you're
But
fine. You're great.
no, there was the original amulet in ancient China, and then it was discovered 20 years ago by the cult
20
leader.
years ago. Yeah.
So I guess I'm talking as if this movie was modern day, which I know it was 2007, but
So yeah, so 20 years before then was 87, I guess, which that did
yeah,
not look like 87. That looked like 2007 when they, when they found the ammunition
yeah,
or whatever. It was like supposed to be like archaeologists found it or something, the bones and whatnot. And then so like it's 20 years ago, and that makes sense for when he's told, I'm gonna come after your daughter, who would be like 21,
right.
right? So she would be because he said she was like a year old, your 1 year old daughter, Mindy. Like, don't go after Mindy. Which you don't even remember that bit, and stuff. But yeah, that happened. So I was just like, oh, okay, because that was the first time you hear the name Mindy, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So which one of these is Mindy? I thought it'd be Tara Manning because if you look at the credits on IMDb, she's first. She's above Rachel Miner, and I think even in the credits, period. And I'm like, I understand she was a bigger star, but Rachel Miner was the main character.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that's not fair,
That
like
was kind of weird.
why not make Taryn Manning the lead, of the movie and have Rachel Miner be the more goofy friend? I mean, they could have switched roles and they would have been just fine, I think.
Yeah.
But Rachel Miner played that part, and I mean both of them did fairly well for their characters. It just makes no sense to credit Tara Manning first, I guess just because she has the bigger name. I mean, that's that's like, having a character like Robert Englund going first and he's only in the movie for 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if you're gonna be credited first, you better be, in a way, I feel like you better be the lead. But I don't know. It's freaking actors, man. They need like it's the agents that all set everything up and say, oh
Yeah.
well, we need Tara Manning to be first, and then they go negotiate with Rachel Miner, and um Rachel's agent's like, that's fine. She's still the lead, so it doesn't matter, But to me, it does because it just bothers me. OCD
Yeah.
wise, I'm like, wait, she's not the lead. It's not fair.
Sometimes you just gotta let stuff go.
Yeah. Um, by the way, there was one part where there was a big continuity error. I don't know if you caught this, but there was one part where like somebody's uh hair changes color when they're just going like flashbacks or something. I forgot who it was. I don't know I think it was Rachel. Like her character, and all of a sudden she had like lighter, blonder hair, and then it cuts back or something. I don't know. But I saw it and I was like, wait a minute, that I had to rewind it. I was like, wait, is that supposed to be her? And it
Hmm.
was. And so I don't know. It was weird. Like we have they have continuity here. Well, of course they do.
I mean, I would expect that there would be continuity errors.
In this like independent film, yeah, for sure. You know. Um
Well,
okay.
and nothing against independent film. I love independent film. Um, but
Oh.
this just was
I'm looking at some of the trivia to see if whatever, but it said Tara Manning had the flu on her first day of shooting.
hmm.
I don't know which day that was because she seemed fine. Professor Easterbrook was a man in an earlier draft of the film. Um, and
Oh,
an old abandoned restaurant was used as the location of the temple. An old abandoned restaurant. Just turn that into a temple. I told you,
huh.
man, it didn't seem right. It didn't feel right.
Yeah, it was odd. It was an odd set.
But I'm glad we saw it. I'm glad we got to review it.
Yeah.
I honestly am worried now because I always feel like the first ones usually dictate how things are gonna go with the rest of 31 Days of Indie Horror. But so this is day one, everybody. Day one.
Just gotta keep hope.
Gotta keep hope alive there. there will be many other you know, I don't know. There'll be many other guests on the show like there've been. I took a break a for a year, like 2022, and then I took 2023. I took the break off for because I don't know. I just didn't feel like doing this so much, and
Yeah,
but then I missed it, and I was like, I gotta keep this going somehow. So I created
yeah. You
stuff.
just needed a break.
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm back with a vengeance, baby. So, Colt was our first one. I don't know what the second one will be. I was thinking of having it be like girl, guy, girl, guy, girl, guy, like that kind of thing. So there'll be an actress, then there'll be a uh actor or filmmaker, and then actress, like everything switched every
Yeah,
day.
balance. Life is
Yeah.
about balance.
Well, and you will give me a different perspective than like Jason Zalakis will, when I
Hmm.
get him back on. Which he's gonna I'm gonna get him back on. 'Cause I don't think death
He's
rate
a fun
scared him.
guy.
I don't- he's a mushroom.
I
That was
said
bad.
he's a.
He's a fun guy.
We're all fun guys.
All right. You know what? Paul wants you to
But
watch.
no, I did a podcast with him. I think I'm the one who introduced you. Maybe we were
Mm,
supposed to do a film a couple years ago. We were part of this. Well, it was supposed to be a pretty good film called Coffee Breaks, and it kind of has fallen through at the moment.
oh, that's
But
sad.
that's
It
how.
happens.
Well, and I'm not sure what the plans are or if there are any plans, but I mean that's pretty common, I think, in the industry. You have big hopes and dreams for something and then it just kind of
Fizzles out.
it loses traction. Yeah.
But yeah, so you met him, you kind of introduced me, I think, to him, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's been on my shows, a bunch of my shows, a few times, and I love Jason. I'm going out to so by the way, everybody, this is January, and this is actually a week before I travel to California, so I may actually see him, you know.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I wish I could take you with me.
Driving.
No, hell no. I'm
Oh,
flying
okay,
out
because
there.
you drove before.
But that was when I was living there. I'm just visiting right now. I'm just coming to
Okay,
visit and
gotcha.
see everybody. And mainly my former roommate can go stay with her up in Bakersfield. Then
Hmm.
her and I are gonna go down on my birthday, which is January 12th, and we're gonna go down and see everybody. And Jason is one of those people I sent a like invite to a birthday party thing, and he said he was interested in going. I don't know if that means he just doesn't know. Actors
Yeah.
are hard because they can have like the plan, like, oh, I'm gonna go to this, and then last minute get a role in something or whatever,
Yeah.
and they have to take it. And I never take any offense to any of that. I always view it as like if you had to, if you can make it, then I will see you when I see you, happens with a lot of my friends. But I'm really just excited to be back there. Hopefully I see him. Hopefully I see everybody out there, Like I said, I wish I could take you because I know you would have a blast out there. I'm sure you've been out there before.
Yeah, I won't forget it.
Oh, was it a bad, bad, bad time? But you don't have to say what it was for, but
Yeah, that's where I had my accident.
oh, that sucks. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's all right. I'm just taking it day by day.
Ho- Hopefully that didn't leave a sour taste in your mouth of California.
I mean, I definitely am gonna want to go back. It's just right now, I just gotta work on healing mentally and physically from something that like turned my life upside down.
Yeah. Well, I'm
But I
sorry
I don't know.
about
I
that.
haven't really talked about it a lot actually. So
Well, there you go. And this will be out in 10 months, so you don't even have to worry about anything. Like by then you probably have already talked about it like publicly
That's
about stuff.
true.
So,
That's true.
hopefully you'll look back at this and be like, "Oh shit, I forgot I said that." Because that's
And
what happens.
I'm hoping at that time that I can be riding horses again, riding on freaking roller coasters with my kids, doing some bomb ass movies. Yeah, that's my hope for the future.
Bomb ass movies. That's like listen, filmmakers, if you're making a bomb ass movie, put Liz in it. Because you know, Cult 2,
I
you'll
just
be
made that
the
up just now.
you're gonna be in Cult 2, They'll come, they'll be like, Liz did such a great job talking
They
about this
would
movie.
never ask me to come on there after what I've said tonight.
I don't think so. I think I would think here's the thing with Indie Film Cafe and with 31 Days of Indie or any of the stuff I do is that we're honest, 100% honest. We don't lie.
Yeah,
If we don't like something, we don't review it. Like,
yeah.
if we don't think that there's something redeeming about your movie, we won't review it. I've actually turned down movies because I can't uh like I don't want to be too mean and too cruel,
Oh
but
yeah.
and stuff. And there are some movies, there's some filmmakers out there, and there are some that I will go in and say, and I'm not afraid to be honest about their stuff, even though I know they don't like me, or whatever because of whatever bullshit,
Well, the thing is, if you're gonna put your art out there, you have to be prepared that people are gonna have their opinions about it.
Hmm.
Not everything you do is gonna be liked by every person. So you just
Exactly.
have to do what you feel is your art and what you're called to make. And if people like it, great. If not, well, you did your best and you put it out there.
If they don't like it, screw it. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
what I think a lot of people, especially indie filmmakers, and most, it's art, right? So it's subjective,
Yeah.
and so there's only two ways I think of it. I think of it as the filmmaker is sort of they like it's their baby, so they love it, and they don't want somebody to like say nasty things about it. But then also they should know, you know, like if they are honest with themselves, they should know if a movie kind of like once they watch it, if the movie sucked,
Yeah.
or whatever, or if there's issues with it that they can't fix and they still put it out, which is great. You put it out, you made it, you put it out, fantastic. But don't be mad if somebody's like, this doesn't make any sense that this
It
happened and this
stinks.
happened. Yeah, it stinks. But this movie, if I had to put it on a stinkometer scale, the 1 to 10 and 10 being stinky, this would not be up there as a stinky movie. This would probably be more like 6, or something, where it's just a little bit of stink, but it should have been a lot better, and that's kind of what makes
Yeah.
it that problem.
That's what puts it on the stinkometer to begin with.
Right. And I sort of agree. What would you say? What would you, if you had to give this a stinkometer rating?
I'd probably give it an 8.
An 8? Oof. All right. Well, there you go. Yeah,
It was just a big thing of it was the cinematography for me. Like it was hard for me to watch
that's
just
one of the
because the
sins of
editing
filmmaking.
was so, I don't know, it was difficult.
One of the sins of filmmaking is bad lighting, bad cinematography, bad sound. Now, this actually had pretty good sound, so
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
can't
didn't
fault it
think it
on that.
sounded awful.
No, and thank God Tubi has freaking subtitles because some of the times I need to read. I'm deaf in my left ear, so literally if I don't hear something, that's because I just didn't hear it. Just didn't.
I don't know if I knew that about you.
I don't really talk about it that much because I probably forget about it, like it's not,
Yeah.
even though it is a big thing in my life. Yeah, when I was 7 years old, I was my I came home with swimmer's ear, and it turned out not to be swimmer's ear. It turned out to be a disease called cholesteatoma that basically took out my eardrum. So they had to go and try to put a new eardrum in my ear, and all the fake eardrums that they put in my ear never worked. So I've just been deaf in my left ear for since I was like 7 or 8, and stuff. And just, the only way that like people know that I'm deaf is if funny funny story on that, but I'll tell you in a second, is if I can't hear where somebody's calling from. So say somebody's calling from upstairs one way and I go the other upstairs because that's where you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. But I worked at a amusement park, and I did like the guess your age or weight thing, and some
Oh yeah.
customer was like to ask me a question. People were talking, I couldn't hear over here. And I said, "Excuse me, what did you say?" And he said, "What are you, deaf?" I go, "Actually, sir, yes, I am." And in one ear, you know. And he goes, "What ear?" And I was like thinking, "What? That's none of your business." But then I was like, "My left." And he walks up to my right ear and he goes, "Can you hear me now?"
Shut up.
I'm not lying. And so I was like, "Yes, sir, I can. Thank you." Because I was
Oh,
working at an amusement park where it was family friendly, and I did not want to go off on this guy, even though I wanted to, but I didn't want to lose my job. So I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Thank you," blah blah blah. People are dicks. What can you say? Um,
yeah.
but anyway, yeah, so subtitles, very, very good. Sometimes when a movie doesn't have subtitles, I go crazy. Criterion, looking at your old Blu-rays. A lot of them didn't have subtitles. Now they do. Now, like I think every
Yeah.
single one of them they do, and they realize how essential it is to have
Oh, for
subtitles,
sure.
even if you're yeah. So anyway, that's that. I guess for this episode, this went a little longer than normal. I don't know if this is gonna be a thing, or if this
What
is just the
time is
first
it
one.
even?
I don't know. It's 10 something, 10:22. So I think we
Oh,
started about
okay.
9:05, 9 something like
Yeah, I was
9:10
late
maybe.
because I was looking for my ring light.
You didn't have to explain that. It's fine. You know, now that nobody else
That's
knew
true.
that. It's not
Nobody's
like
gonna care.
it's not like this was live or something. And I was like waiting, and people are like, "Where is Liz? Where is
I don't know.
she?"
I was
Right now. This just shows like how good of friends we
uh
are that we could joke with each
I've
other
not
like
been
that.
sleeping very well at night, so if I'm a little slap happy, that's why.
But have you found any amulets that keep showing up in your house?
Oh no, they don't show up. I bought them.
I
I
know.
know where they came from.
Okay, good.
I
Because
keep a
that one
couple in my office.
that one girl said they just kept going in her pocket or whatever. And
Oh,
I'm like, so yeah.
no, none of mine have done that to me. They must not be possessed by an ancient Chinese pregnant woman.
Actually, that wasn't even like it was the man, the American
It
man
was the
who.
bad guy's spirit. No,
Oh, was she the
uh,
one? Was she the one controlling the amulet?
I don't know. It was
I thought it was
confusing to
him.
me.
I don't know. All right. See, that's the thing. You
Well,
got one thing, I got another thing, and who knows if one of us is right.
because I feel like her spirit was captured into the ant. I don't know.
Good question. I don't know. I don't. Nobody,
It's open to
nobody knows except
interpretation.
which that's giving it more credit than it deserves. That sounds like it was made like that. Oh, we were making it so that this would be like open to interpret. No, no,
Yes, so you can discuss it afterwards.
yes, this is icebox chat. You chat like this after you watch the movie. You go to the refrigerator to get food, and you're like, "Oh my God." That's a real thing, by the way. It was a real phrase that Alfred Hitchcock coined, where at the end of the movie you would go to the refrigerator, and you would just one person would have one, theory, and the other person would have another, and you could discuss it. And
At the fridge?
I get he was a big guy. He liked food. I don't know. So this is these are real things. I'm not making this up. It's called like icebox
I
chat or
I
something.
semi believe you, Jonathan.
I'm gonna start making shit up and half of the shit up so you can see like then you could be like, wait, was that true or was that not true? Now I don't
I don't
know.
know. I might have to Google this.
Oh Lord. Um so anyway, everybody, this is not an Alfred Hitchcock movie. This was a Joe Nee. His name was Joe, and the last name Nee.
Exactly like the
Knee.
knee on your leg.
Yes. I thought it was like Nee, but no, it
No,
was
it's Knee.
Knee. And so Joni, which sounds like Joni, like Joni, like the name Joni, like Joni and Chachi. So like when I said I was like Joni, like okay, so Joni, is the director of the film, and I don't know, I think he kind of stopped making films in like 2017. And I saw him on Facebook. Do not know if I'm gonna add him or not. I don't know if he's gonna want to like if I promote this in October and he's like, "Oh, he reviewed my movie. It's gonna be a great review." I'm gonna go watch it right
Mm,
now. And then he's like, "Unfriend," because filmmakers do
what's the
that.
worst that could happen?
Uh, I don't know. Sue us for libel. I don't know. Like that could be the worst that could
Oh,
happen.
really?
I guess if you said
For
something,
discussing an opinion?
probably not for that, but if you were to say something that was absolutely not true, and you made it as fact, I guess that would be the worst. I
I
would
don't
just,
think we have anything to worry about.
yeah, we're just saying our opinions. Our opinions don't
Yeah.
mean, and our opinions literally in the world don't mean anything but to us,
Hmm.
and whatnot. So, if Liz could have loved the movie to death and thought this was the greatest thing of all time. She didn't, but she could have, and I would have just thought she was just nuts. And that was it. That was our conversation. That could have been our
And you'd only
conversation.
be half wrong, Jonathan.
I don't know which half, but all right, let's just keep it at that for everybody. That's your chat to go to the refrigerator and chat about is if Liz is nuts. So if you actually stayed to the end of this, I don't know how many people actually ever stay to an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is. But
There's people out there, I guarantee it.
they're just leaving it on. Like I was telling Paul the other day that I was watching one of his movies and it had like it was just a bunch of concerts, like the Police and different other bands and stuff, Dead Kennedys, and it was fantastic. It was a documentary, but it wasn't a documentary to me. Like it was just concerts, footage
Yeah.
and stuff, which is nice. It's kind of cool. And I was like, oh, this is what I would just leave in the background while I go and do stuff, or whatever, just so I could just listen to the music. He was like, "Oh, not me. I would have to watch it." I'm like, "You watch concerts like on video? Like weird. I don't ever do that.
Hmm.
Like I don't watch the concert. Like that's not interesting to me what they're doing on stage. Like even
Yeah.
when I go to a concert, I'm okay if I'm in the back and I'm just listening to the music and occasionally can see the band up there,
Yeah.
Like I don't need to like see them perform, or whatever. So I'm weird like that. I don't know if you're like that too, but
I
that's me.
I do enjoy live music. Music is kind of like it's just one of the most important things to me. It's like my therapy sometimes. So I mean, it depends on who I would see. If it was somebody that I really liked, I would absolutely sit there for 4 or 5 hours to see them. Um,
But would you like be watching them like perform, or would you be okay with being in the back row where you can't even see anything and still just listening to their music?
it would just depend on who it is.
And that's fair. When I went to see the Goo Goo Dolls and and Sugar Ray, I wanted to get a good seat, but that's
Yeah.
because like Sugar Ray was there drinking on set or on stage and doing all these wacky shit. After a while of seeing them in Fastball and Goo Goo Dolls,
Hmm.
it was fun to me. But I don't know. It depends. It also depends. Like some of the people on stage are a little wacky that Paul had me watch. And Paul and wacky,
I can
no.
imagine.
Paul and wacky, no. There were no cows, which was very shocking. But he did have like these characters that were doing these weird ass shit and stuff. And he was the one who loved those guys,
Hmm.
and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, like I was happy to watch it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it really wasn't much of an actual documentary. Like there was nobody talking about the stuff or
Narrating.
yeah, narrating. It was
Yeah.
more so I'm like, was it is it like isn't that just like concert like footage, or whatever? So eh, whatever. Anyway, I think we have already overstayed our welcome here on this show. So we I don't know. But thank you, Liz. Thank you so much. And once
Yeah,
again,
definitely. Thanks
you're
for having me on again and making me watch a fantastic movie.
yes, a fantastic one. Well, I mean, come on. You have to say this was better than Death Rink.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was more fun than Death Rink, I think. That was the problem. I think the problem with Death Rink was it had a great concept and it wasn't fun enough or
Yeah,
whatever.
nothing happened.
Yeah. This stuff happened, but we don't understand it.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's fine with me.
Maybe the next one of these I do with you, I'll have one that actually does make some sense. Oh, we can only dream. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Join me tomorrow for a brand new episode with a brand new guest. And it'll be a brand new day. So who knows what I don't I haven't recorded it yet, so I don't even know what I'm doing yet. I might start picking one tonight. And
Get your stuff together, Jonathan.
I know. Did you just censor yourself so that you didn't so you said stuff instead of the S word? Is that it?
Yes, I don't know why I did that.
Your dogs might be like, you know.
I think I've just been trying in general to just curse less.
Probably a
It
good
comes in
idea.
spurts, I think.
All right. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go and let everybody go. Thank you guys for checking this out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Join me tomorrow for a brand new episode and check out Liz on I guess social media if she's gonna still be on or if she's
Well,
not taking a day
it's
off.
out there. I just have been taking a short break.
Yeah, well you do a lot on LinkedIn, I see. I don't know.
Oh, LinkedIn's far better, I think, for networking than
There you go. So hit up are you
Facebook.
Liz Fletcher or
Yeah, Liz
okay.
Fletcher on LinkedIn. I think I'm up there a bit if you search my name.
Okay.
Maybe not the first couple, but I think I'm up there.
Nice. So look up Liz Fletcher on LinkedIn and connect with her. I guess that's what they call it, connecting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't all follow, connect, stalk. I don't know what these things
LinkedIn
are.
is good though.
Yeah, LinkedIn's pretty good. So thank you guys for checking this out. I hope you guys enjoyed it and join us tomorrow. Till then, everybody.
Bye
Bye.
guys.